Hello and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. This is going to be a great show for you this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are in the world. Hit that like button. We're going to be joined by the mighty LB, the biggest club in the world and the most successful club in the world, representing Man City, of course. Biggest revenue, biggest trophies nowadays, dominance, everything. And we're also going to be joined by Osam from This Is Football. He's on his way. But LB, Lewis, absolutely appreciate you being here, my man.
Nah, good to be here, man. What a tune that is, bro. What a tune, mate. I was loving that then, bro. I was loving it, mate. We should just speak about the tune, innit? You know what I mean? That was a pretty exciting song.
It's not even me.
What is the StreamYard? What is the song called?
It's the Rock. It's the Rock StreamYard.
Yo, I'm about to get on that. Do you mind if I rob it?
It's not mine, bro. It's actually public. But people hit that like button for us. Listen, we're gonna pack show for you, of course. Today we'll talk about the revenue and the record and everything. But I want to start with, since LB is here and Hussam is on his way. Let me start with the this Manchester City revenue stuff that it's coming. That you have the biggest revenue, a record revenue from ever in the Premier League, probably in the world, if I'm not mistaken. You're overtaking Manchester United in revenue. You are showing dominance all the time now, like in the last 5-6 years. You won five league titles in the last 6 since Pep Guardiola, 7 years. You won 5 titles. How long do you think this dominance can go? Is it related to Pep Guardiola? This is the notion that everybody keeps talking about, right? Every time I sit on a show, people say, wait until Pep leaves. Do you believe in that?
To a certain degree, yes. I think that Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of all time, right? So I have to agree.
This doesn't mean I agree with you. I did this, but fine. Right.
No. I have to then agree with the statement to a certain degree because I believe he's the greatest manager of all time. And even if you don't think he's the greatest manager of all time, he's certainly up there with.
This one is the second or
exactly right. Yeah. So to be a Manchester City team that's managed by the greatest manager of all time or close up there, it's going to be difficult, right? So I think the on-field domination will likely continue until Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City. Now, the question is, when he leaves Manchester City, will City still dominate? I think we will dominate, but to a lesser degree. So do we dominate? Depends on the definition, right? Because of course, again, I can't say that Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world and then say, but when he leaves, everything's going to be fine and we're going to continue to win everything. That I can't say that. Those two things do not go together, right? So I think that we will still be successful when he leaves, but do I think we will be successful to the same degree that we are now? The answer to that is no. But I don't think we're going to fall off like Manchester United because we have a board and a structure at the football club which is better than Man United's was when Ferguson left. We're not going to let Pep Guardiola choose the next manager. You know, we're not going to change style like from Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ole and all that kind of stuff. We are going to stick with the same style of play. So the transition will be small. So to answer the question, dominant, it depends on the definition. Yeah, I think City will still be very successful when Pep Guardiola leaves, but will probably be slightly less successful, which is still very successful. But Yeah, I think a lot of opposition fans are waiting for the day Pep leaves because City are winning trophy after
I keep
trophy, man.
asking people the question about, is the tide shifted for the foreseeable future in Manchester? Do you think Manchester United will come back? And even if they come back, are they going to be above City again? Winning these league titles, winning a treble isn't easy, right? It's something that people think, because he has the best team in the world, he has the best players. And I keep saying he makes the best players. It's not that he buys the best players, he makes them. Doku is not one of the best players in the world. Like Haaland, yes, was a great striker. But we can talk about Bernardo Silva from Monaco. We can talk about Kevin De Bruyne from Wolfsburg, that he came in and found him, and look at what he made. He made a monster. Rodri wasn't even on the map of the best midfielders in the world at that time when you bought him. The thing about it is that you are now winning league titles and titles regularly. You are making history while you are here, right? You are here. Do you think that for the foreseeable future, the tides have shifted? Let me do the super chat first. Someone is correcting. Bayern made 853 euros in revenue and had worst season ever in worst league. When you big, and you did not need to fake sponsors. The digs are coming. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm gonna let LB respond to that.
Well, that's Euros. So what's Euros in the
No,
pound?
he's talking about the fake sponsors and all the time. But
Great. I'm not an accountant. I don't know. I'm not a police officer.
it's kind of strange about, like, people keep saying, like, listen, Manchester City didn't just, they have sponsors from Emirates. It's part of the family, of course, and everything, but they are getting the sponsors. And the problem
Bro,
is, for me,
let me
it's
tell
not.
you
Let me
something.
just say one thing. It's not South. I'm sorry, with all due respect to Southampton or Leicester, Manchester City. And I just realized this now. Even if your cousin or your family want to sponsor you, they want to sponsor the most successful team. The cousin of the owner or the brother of the owner, if he goes and looks for sponsor a team, aren't Manchester City the most successful club now in the world? So who else would you want to sponsor?
Correct. Let me tell you something. Yeah, let me tell you something. So basically, what people have a problem with, is that we've got sponsors coming from
Emirates.
Yes. So Bayern Munich, German team, have Adidas as a sponsor. They have Audi as a sponsor. They have Allianz as a sponsor. They have Paulina as a sponsor. These are all German companies. So let me ask you, why is it, that it's okay for them to have German sponsors, but when City get a sponsor from the Emirates, it's suddenly a massive problem? Why is that a thing?
Because it's the same money.
What do you mean it's the same money?
I'm telling you what people say, because it's the same money. What I mean is that it's all the same pool in Emirates. I don't want to go into the details, by the way, of the money, because this has been killed on the football terrace, on your channel, everywhere. Listen, the money thing is like, we can go tricky, but also everybody's a billionaire. Well, Manchester City have to get sponsors from somewhere, and they're the most successful club. I'm sure if Emirates don't sponsor them, somebody else will want that sponsorship. Somebody else will want the jerseys ad, right? Because they're the most successful club in the world at the moment.
That's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, if a company in Abu Dhabi wants to sponsor Manchester City, even if they're owned by some related party, it's still a company that wants to sponsor it. If they have a marketing budget, who are you to say no? Yeah, the truth is that the facts are the facts. We are obviously very big in the Emirates, in the Middle East. Why? Obviously, for the reasons everyone knows. Yeah, we're owned by Sheikh Mansour. Yeah, so obviously in that area of so you're going to get sponsors from that region. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, oh, really sorry, mate, you can't be sponsored by them because he's related to him, he's his cousin or whatever. Like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's. I don't think it's people. I think people have gone do laddie tap, bro. To be honest with you, I think people are starting to lose it a little bit. You know, I'm seeing people doing all sorts of mad takes. You know what I mean? And conspiracy theories. You know, there'll be a Netflix documentary about this soon, man. People need to touch some grass, bro. That's my view on it.
I'm not sure what is happening. The mods taking care of stuff. I don't know who's blocking who, but people just listen. It is what it is. Our Chelsea fans now say it's jealousy, but fine. Listen, I want to talk on the pitch, and I want to address it when Hussam is here as well. But I watched some of your videos, and when you address stuff about like Man City are weaker, Man City aren't weaker. Do you think the gap has shrunk a little bit between Manchester City on the pitch, right? Between Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal?
To Arsenal, I don't think it has. I don't think it's shrunk between City now. I think Arsenal look worse than last year. I think City. No, I think the gap between City and Arsenal is probably the same level, if not maybe has grown. I think Liverpool is a bit of a dodgy one because Liverpool last year was an anomaly, right? Liverpool's squad, Liverpool's first 11 with Liverpool's manager shouldn't have finished fifth last year or wherever they finished. They should have been a top 4 team. Right? That Liverpool team was better than Man United's team, right? They just had, for whatever reason, they just had a shocking start to the season and they could never quite recover, even though at one point it looked like they might be able to recover and get themselves back into the top 4. So I think when you talk about this City and Liverpool one, that obviously looks like it's closed, but I think that's coming from a point of a bit of a weird situation last year anyway, because like I say, Liverpool were not a 5th place team last year. They should have been better. So yeah, I don't know, man. I just look at Arsenal, but I don't think they've done enough. I think the transfer activity was poor. I don't think that Arteta's playing, in my personal opinion, I think his tactical change this year of being more in control of matches, which is what people like to say, I think is the wrong way to go about it, especially when teams are respecting Arsenal more, playing a more of a low block. And Liverpool, listen, their attack is frightening. I've said that all the time, but I still think that come the end of the season, they'll just not quite have enough in the midfield and maybe defence to win the league. But listen, I don't think City are going to walk it. I don't think City are going to walk it by any means. I think we'll win it by maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 points. But that's not walking it. That's 3 games.
I would still think that the only 2 teams that have chances are Arsenal and Liverpool. That's my opinion about it. The reason why is that in January, if they go and do the business, I think they're going to be all right. If Man City, of course, go in January and get the business done and you get another midfield, I don't know what you need. People keep saying that you need another midfielder because Pep Guardiola got it wrong with Nunes and Kovacic, blah, 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 all this talk. You're going to strengthen as well. Do you think Pep Guardiola got it wrong with Kovacic and Nunes, that trying to replace Gundogan in that area? Do you think he got it wrong there?
What we got wrong was not re-signing Gundogan on a contract when we should have given him the contract that he wanted. Yet we messed around saying, oh, well, we delay. You know what I mean? Like VAR, delay. Good process. Didn't give him the contract that he wanted. And in the end, City were messing around, not giving the contract. He signed a contract with Barcelona and he come out in an interview and said City took too long. That was that's the issue we had. With the midfielder, I think the signing of Kovacic was a great signing. 25 million for a guy of his experience, regardless of what you think of him, I think as a squad player, it's a great signing. The Nunes one, I think we got unlucky. Look, we went in for Jude Bellingham, who was in there till the end. We obviously got rejected. Shit happens. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and be butthurt about it. Like, shit happens. By that point, Rice had already agreed to go to Arsenal, so we lost out on him. Maddison had already agreed to go to Spurs, lost out on him. We went for Paqueta, which was a good player and would have been a good signing. And then what happens? A blue sky event of gambling. We can't sign him. We end up with Nunes. I still don't really understand the signing of Nunes, to be honest with you. I don't know where he's going to play or what role he's going to play. I think he's an all right player, but I don't really get it. I'm a bit confused by it. But I think City have been unlucky there. You can't tell me City have not been unlucky there. We went for 4 other players. We was interested in 4 other players, and
maybe you got it. Maybe the planning was wrong this time.
No, the planning wasn't wrong. The planning was we had to go all in for Jude Bellingham. You had to show Jude Bellingham.
But that's the planning was wrong. And Jude Bellingham, they didn't want to join the Premier League.
No, that wasn't. Yeah, but we wanted to sign him, and if we wanted to sign him,
I know you do. I know you did.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't. If we wanted to sign Jude Bellingham, you had to go all in and risk that happened. If we would have got him, we'd have been saying great planning. Or it's just an unfortunate event. You don't get what you want sometimes in life. We went for him, and a consequence of not getting him is by the time we then moved on to our other targets, they'd all agreed to move on. That was a risk, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to accept the consequence of the risk, and that's what happened. If we would have got Paqueta, I'd have been chilling. I think Paqueta would have been a great signing. The problem is we couldn't get him. We ended up with Nunes, which you don't really get.
You sound worried though.
I sound worried, bro. We're top of the league, top of our group.
But you sound a little bit worried that you didn't get Jude Bellingham, you got Kovacic, you got Nunes, you didn't get Paqueta. I know you're top of the league, but yeah, like in my opinion, like and for me, I don't think Man City are second to anybody else. I think you're the best team in the league, if not the world at the moment. But I don't think you're as strong as last year. But again, we're yet to prove. But you have the best manager in the world without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody's even close to him. He can make it tick. Like the amount of points, I'm not sure about the start last year, but the way you lost to Arsenal, the way you lost to Wolves, some of the games you played, you didn't look as fluid as before. And this is like kind of weird if you're a
What
Man City
games?
fan.
What games are you talking about? What games did we not look fluid?
Let me remember because I had them counted. Can I go to check the games?
Yeah, whatever you want, bro.
I'm looking at. I will look at the game because I had them counted yesterday, and some of the game. I was looking at some of the games, and I said, "Yeah, this game wasn't." Uh, Against Brighton, you kind of give them a little bit. You're shaky a little bit. Even I think the first half against Leipzig, against Newcastle, you only did the bare minimum, and you won 1-0. And I thought at home you would have
Three very good games, three very good teams.
yeah, yeah, but that's what I mean. But so it comes to my point is that the league isn't as easy as last year because I said that the league now is tighter. It's kind of tougher now this year to win it, which maybe your point is like you're not going to walk the league. Sometimes you get stuck. Man City. I mean, I'm comparing to the end of the season, Manchester City last year, where nothing got stuck for you. That's my point. Is like you figured it out last year, Pep, and then you got rid of Gundogan. You didn't replace him well. Jack Grealish got removed, and Doku was there, who is a brilliant player, but he plays completely different style. Aki isn't there. Gavardiol is there. Is he doing the same exact job? John Stones is in there now. Well, at the end of last season, John Stones was the guy. I think he's inverting in the midfield and doing all this thing, right? That's my point about the team, how I'm looking at it. Same for Arsenal, of course. Arsenal don't look 50% of the way they played football last year. That's my point about the games that you got stuck a little bit and they weren't great. You don't believe that you're a little, you said you're a little bit weaker because you didn't do because you didn't sign Gundogan.
I think we are slightly weaker because we've lost Gundogan. But listen, if you put Bernardo Silva in the midfield and Kevin De Bruyne and put Foden or Doku out on the right side, can you really say that we're weaker? You can really tell me that Bernardo Silva is weaker than Gundogan in the midfield? Slightly different players, but I can't really say that's a downgrade.
It's not a downgrade that much. Yeah.
Then how are you going to sit there and say Man City are weaker than last year?
Because John Stones is injured. If John Stones and
John Stones is meant to be back though. John Stones is meant to be back very soon. It's meant to be
Kevin De Bruyne as well.
He's meant to be back very soon. And the thing I keep saying to people, Mo, is we've had Rodri injured, suspended for 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Newcastle, I don't really care about that. I knew he was going to lose that one anyway. John Stones has played 3 or 4 matches in the Premier League, and Kevin De Bruyne has played 20 matches in the Premier League, and we're still top of the table.
Yeah.
So when we get these players back, which is going to be in the next weeks, we're going to have John Stones back and Kevin De Bruyne back in the next weeks. How do you foresee that going then? All City have to do is we have to get through our next 3 games unscathed. We got Liverpool at home, Tottenham at home, Aston Villa away.
Yeah? I think you can win the 3 games.
I think, of course, we can, but you can also lose the 3 games. We play that. Give respect to the 3 teams; they're very good, especially Aston Villa away. I think that's going to be super tough. They're on an incredible run right now. But if we can get through that and stay top of the league, or within even with 2 or 3 points of the top, and then you've got John Stones back. John Stones might be back for any of them games. Who knows? And then you got Kevin De Bruyne back. And then you're looking at games like Luton, Palace, Brentford, Everton, Sheffield United.
All of these are winnable games. On paper,
Brentford again, Everton. You know what I mean? We've got a couple of tough games in there up until February. So I'm very content. Mo, I said at the start of the season, I don't need to be top of the table now. I don't need to be top. I don't need City to be top of the table now. Nothing's won in November. Nothing's won in October. All I say is be within 6 points of the top of the table by the time Kevin De Bruyne gets back, and I'll be happy. Bro, they're exceeding my expectations. We're top of the table. We're top of the Champions League group. We're going to Saudi Arabia in December for the Club World Cup, City's first ever time in that competition. I think City is in such a great position right now. And I feel like people don't want to respect that because they can't, because they don't want to. They have to give themselves some sort of hope. So fans will play down what's happened. Oh, maybe they've not been good in this game or this game or this game. The facts are the facts. We're top of the league. We're top of the
You
Champions
understand the
League.
game.
And it's chilling. But people have to try and play City down. Otherwise, they've got to accept that this could be another season where City could win another treble, which is very possible.
It is possible, of course. The Football Social saying Manchester City have sponsors they can't prove exists. This is not true. Actually, by the way, it's not true. It doesn't work like this. Thank you for super chat, but I don't think it's true at all. By the way, German Chicken Wing is saying the narrative about controlling games by Arsenal is bullshit. They have lost 9 points from games they won last season. Chelsea, Spurs, Fulham, and Newcastle. Do you think that? Do you think that Arsenal are not controlling games and people are just trying to make themselves feel better?
I don't know. Big up Joe, man.
Big up Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I think it's an interesting one with Arsenal because they have changed their style, and you know, I don't know. You know, I just think they've took a little bit out. Arteta has taken a little bit out of Arsenal what made them so great last year, which was every time they went forward, they looked like they were going to score a goal. You know what I mean? Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, they were fantastic. Now I watch Arsenal, and I just feel like they lack ideas. You know what I mean? And I think this has come through to their fans. This has come through to the fan base. I remember when they played City at the Emirates, right? They beat us 1-0. I was speaking to Arsenal fans after the game and said, "Oh, we battered you in that game." I said, "Did you batter us in that game?" Yeah. We got the ball in better areas of the pitch. I said, "What are you going on about? You got the ball in better areas of the pitch." We talk about chance creation. We talk about shots on goal. Yeah, City had a better XG than Arsenal in that game, and I think this. They're trying to. Some of these Arsenal fans are trying to convince themselves, yeah, that this more control equals better, and it might do, but I'm not so sure that can be 100% the case. I thought Arsenal last year were better. People tell me, yeah, Arsenal lost the league because of their defense last year. BS. That's not true. Arsenal lost the league last year because they bottled it. They didn't have the mentality to see it over the line. They were 2-0 up against Liverpool. They were 2-0 up against West Ham and missed a penalty. That's not defense. That's bottle. And listen, I don't murk them too much on that because ultimately they're going for the first Premier League in 20 years, and it's a young squad, and that can come into play. But that's what I think they needed to do. You know, losing Xhaka, I think, is a horrendous sale. He's playing well. I watched him Leverkusen against Karabakh in the Europa League last week, and he's just such a chill player. I know. You know, he's got issues with his aggression and that. But that guy got 14 GNA in the Premier League last year. 14. Declan Rice won't get 14 this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I said that. I said Granit Xhaka was the biggest mistake that Arteta made, in my opinion. One of the biggest mistakes Arteta made, that he didn't replace him the right way. He could have tried to sign Gundogan, gave him 4-year contract. I think that would have made a big difference. He could have signed somebody else. Gundogan was free on the market. Could have offered him a 4-year contract and tried to convince him to come to Arsenal. So, guys, Sam is on the way. Technical difficulties. I know we have an empty box right in front of us, but he keeps texting me and telling me it's technical difficulties. So he's going to be here when his time allows because of the technical difficulties he has with whatever laptop or whatever. So
tell Joe to come on, man. You can get Joe on. Well, Sam is...
Yeah, Joe, if you want to come on, just come on. I can text him. Yeah, of course.
See, Joe, I've not spoken to Joe in a while as well, isn't it? It'd be good to get him on.
I can actually get Joe.
And then Hussam can just focus on sorting this because he's got a stream coming up after this, and then he can just focus on getting that sorted out, man.
I can send Joe the link if he wants to jump in. People in the chat, I want to ask you something.
He said he can do it. He said he's here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm texting him now. Joe is gonna be here, so he can tell us why Manchester United will get relegated.
But the Northerners are taking over your stream, lad.
It's all right, bro. It's all right. Listen, people in the chat, I want to ask you something. Over 200 people here. Can we hit the like button, get us to 200 likes, and also please stick to football. I know you're talking to each other. I see there's a war going between somebody and somebody else. I don't want to focus on the chat. I want to focus with my guest here. I'm bringing you a great guest, so let me talk to him. And instead of focusing on the chat, who's fighting who? Come on, people, just stop this shit. Listen, about this. So, what do you think Liverpool need to actually have a chance? Not this challenge, outsider, dark. Like, what they actually need to win the league, to have a chance of winning the league?
It's a good question, because I don't think they're far away at all. I think obviously they probably need a midfielder, one maybe with more defensive mind, plays slightly deeper. I think they need to have a look at their defence. I think they need to have a look at Robertson, who's not looked great when I've watched him this year. Some proper competition for him. They need to decide as well what they're doing with the centre-back. Obviously, it looks like it's Van Dijk and Kanate. I think they probably need to take a look on Gomez, have a look at him. Yo, big up Joe, man.
Big up
Yes,
Joe.
man.
Joe's here.
Do you know what? I was just settling down for my garlic chicken and rice, man. And then I thought,
that
I'm
looks
chewing.
so good, man.
Oh, it's banging. But I'll listen to you lads just chewing the pie. It's good, man. Are you all good?
We're good. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
good.
Chilling.
I'm just keep. I keep like send pictures by Hussam. His
Oh,
laptop
really? About
is
his
restarting.
connection.
His connection and his laptop is restarted. But fine, it is what it is. Keep going. We're talking about Liverpool, and he's not here. We can rip Liverpool apart because he's not here.
What's to rip?
No, he told me yesterday. I think I was doing a stream with him yesterday or the day before, and he said that Liverpool are the dark horse for this league. And I'm like, you cannot be the dark horse, can you? You gotta be up there. You're gonna be one of the teams.
No,
Yeah,
I think he's right in the sense that, like,
they're going to be up there, aren't they? But not the dark horse.
The thing is, the reason why I think he's saying dark horse, is because like everyone just expected it to be Arsenal and City. I think everyone said Liverpool would be up there, but I think everyone also probably thinks that Liverpool is doing slightly better than we all thought they would, because everyone was like, nah, without a proper DM. You know what I mean? They're like City have Rodri, Arsenal have Rice, Partey as well. They don't really have one. Without that, are they going to be able to do it? I always said I think Liverpool are going to be up there. I just didn't quite think they have enough. And but Van Dijk coming in back into top form is a major win for them. And Salah just continues to do Salah stuff. I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, he probably doesn't get spoken about enough, to be fair. His record and assists.
Darwin's better this season as well, right, LB? Would you say Darwin's better as well?
Yeah, but he's still
not the finish.
He's still a problem player in the sense of he can still cost you if you look at the Luton game.
Yeah, I hear it.
That's 2 points dropped because of Darwin Núñez. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think Liverpool are going to be up there. I think they've got a chance. I think City take a few injuries to key players and they've got a great chance of winning it. I think that Klopp probably knows that maybe he's a player or two short, so that's why I think he's probably going to full send the Europa League. Because I did think to myself, Liverpool have won 6 Champions League, right? They really care about the Europa League, but he speaks to a lot of the fans. I was speaking to Tom last night, and Tom Little, and he said, yeah, a lot of Liverpool fans want to win it. So they're going to take that seriously. I think they'll look at the FA Cup as another one, because I think City won't win the FA Cup this year. I think Pep might not take that seriously because we've got that Club World Cup in December. That's an opportunity. Are they still in the Carabao Cup?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So they could win that. So they could
I think Newcastle might win that, I think Newcastle might win it this year, the Carabao. But then again, it's their injuries when the fixtures come round, innit? Because they do look really light at the minute. But I think Eddie will go all in one of the competitions. I know they're still fighting on all fronts. I think he'll want to win a trophy.
They're desperate to win a trophy, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, if they don't win something soon, already we're seeing the fan base question certain players. Or be they like someone said, the standards are rising. If you don't win a trophy soon, it'll be like, right, we now need that guy who's going to take us that next level.
Yeah.
So he'll have that in the back of his mind. As good as Eddie's been, there will come a time where they have to go, yeah, look at City when they had Mark Hughes, and then they went, you know what, we need to move this on now, and you went and got your Mancini's and Co and took it to that next level. Eventually that happens, doesn't it? So
I think we were quite fortunate, Joe, that we won the FA Cup very early on in the sort of in the takeover. So we could
disagree with this notion completely. I actually think that Newcastle should focus on getting regularly in the Champions League. Champions League is the biggest exposure in the world. You are in the Champions League, you go to quarterfinals and semifinals. I think that's better than winning a Carabao Cup because you guys are in England.
Okay.
You see it
Not
differently.
for the Newcastle fan base.
hold on.
Not for the Newcastle fan base.
No.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Newcastle fan base. I'm talking about the
Okay.
benefit for the club from looking from outside, looking from someone who lives outside of England, right?
Fair.
Been watching the Premier League all the time. It's not about winning the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. It's about regularly being in the big picture. The big picture is looking at the Champions League. People in America, people in Asia, people in Africa watch the Champions League. They don't watch the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. They don't care if Wigan won the cup. They don't care at all.
No, fair.
Unless you're Manchester City and you're going to win it every year along with the league and it's called a double, now it makes sense. You winning the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup and missing on Champions League, people will kick you out of the table. That's what my Newcastle fans keep saying. Yeah, but we want to win the trophy. We want to taste the trophy, but not with the price of not making the Champions League.
Okay.
This is how your fan base expands.
Yeah. So you're right, but Joe's also correct in that and they're very in a similar position to City were when we took over. They've not won a trophy for 30 odd years, yeah. And I get what you're saying about Champions League. Absolutely, you are spot on. And I've said this to Pete, you all know Pete, Newcastle fan. I said this to him. He said, you have to be getting in that top four this season and getting in it because that's ultimately how you grow your football club. You're spot on. But for the Newcastle fans who've waited 30 years, they want to see their team win a trophy. And I get what you're saying. Maybe for the global fan base, they don't really care about the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. I can tell you now, as a fan that has been in that situation, to win that FA Cup, to win a Carabao Cup, regardless of which one it is, after 30 odd years, and Joe will probably say the same, there is nothing better than seeing your team lift a trophy. Once you've done it, the first time, then I think you can say, right, we'll take the Champions League, getting in the Champions League a bit more seriously, and you can sort of take it. But it's like Tottenham, that fucking Ange against Fulham, resting his squad. Tottenham haven't won a trophy in 15 years.
They were fuming, the fans.
Exactly.
They were fuming.
They want to see trophies, Mo. And you are right.
No, because Spurs are already there, LB. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
What I mean there, Spurs over the past 10 years have been in the Champions League about 7 times out of 10.
But what's that done for them?
I'll tell you what's done for them. It has done for them that I live in America now, and I see Spurs
fans, right?
Yeah, but they don't care about.
Okay, so let me ask you something. What brings more money, global fans or local fans? What makes a club bigger in terms of revenue? Allow you to buy players.
But also, yes. But what's football all about, Mo? It's about
winning trophies, of course. I agree with
trophies.
You. Of course, but I'm someone who consider for. Okay, you gotta know.
Do you know
that's my problem. Let me just say one. My problem is people just have to know where they are. Does that make sense?
What I will say though,
Newcastle or Spurs, I'm sorry for Spurs fans and I'm sorry for Newcastle fans. Making Champions League and Aston Villa, making Champions League football is your trophy. Unless you win the league, unless you are proven winner, this is your trophy. It's the same in Italy, by the way. Lazio, they haven't won the league in years. Making the Champions League is the first step. In Germany, Leipzig, Leverkusen.
Huh? Lazio, they've got heritage, haven't they?
Yes, I get your point, but I'm just now one step at a time. I get the FA Cup. I'm saying the trophies are amazing, right? Trophies are why we play the game. Why we watch the game is to win the trophies, right? For that moment where your captain does this is the moment, right? However, Newcastle are building phase, right? They are trying to build the club, so they need more exposure. They need to use the fan base.
Are you saying it from the owner's perspective? They don't care about club separate, right? But what I will say in response to that, if Eddie Howe wins the trophy, it's a lot harder to get him out of the football club than it is if he just gets Champions League. Does that make sense? Like, for me, if he brings them a trophy for the first time in 30 years, then the fans ain't going to let that fly. They're not going to allow them to get him out of the club, I don't think. And of course, fans only hold, but the Geordies are a tribal bunch, like, and they'll make their thoughts known. I mean, someone in the chat say, like, what do these two know about what Newcastle fans want? Well, we know Newcastle fans. I actually live in the northeast and know season ticket holders. You know, we speak to Kendall, we speak to Pete. For the fan base, they're just happy to be at the table right now. Genuinely. They are just happy to be at the table. They're happy to be entertaining the likes of PSG and Dortmund and co. That will change eventually. And when it does, that's when the calls for a better manager. And listen, I do rate Eddie Howe, but
He has to be given a chance to grow with the
100%.
club as well.
Listen, he might have an easy get out. He might get the England job after this tournament, and then it'll be a nice way for him to leave Newcastle with the trophy and go get the top job at England. You never know, and then they can go get their big guy.
Joe, this is why I said, this is why I think it was so important that City won that FA Cup early on, because then you can then focus on what most. Because I don't disagree what you're saying, Mo. I think you're playing down how much the match day fan wants the trophy.
Oh no, I know.
And if you get the trophy early, this is why I think this is why it was so important for Newcastle to win that trophy last year against United. Because if they would have won the Carabao Cup last year against United, then they can not just give up on the FA Cup and Carabao Cup this year, but they say, right, we've won the trophy. Now let's focus on getting in that top four year on year, building the squad, starting to compete, and then we can branch out like City are doing and go for it all. City weren't going for all 4 trophies when we first got in. That's not what we did. We've slowly built up that. But I think you're playing down how much the matchday fan wants the trophies, bro.
I'm not. But I get exactly what you're saying. Mina here is saying, big up. Should Newcastle win Europa League to get to the Champions League? I'm not sure if even Newcastle are gonna make Europa League. They might not even. They might come last in the group. I think if they play in the Europa League, this is another thing. I think Newcastle should get out of the group stage or go to the round of 16. Winning the Europa League. Going to the Europa League and not winning it, nobody's going to remember that you came second or third. Nobody. If you miss out on the Champions League because you're focused on Thursday nights, that's a huge loss. That's a massive loss.
If they do finish third in the Champions League and get into the Europa League, I think they should full send that and try and go for it.
Yeah, same. I agree.
All in. Forget about the league.
Not forget about it, but like, if
you have a Thursday and a Sunday game, would you rest your player Thursday or Sunday?
No, it's difficult to say because I don't know where they're going to be at that stage, right? But they're currently 7th, and they're currently 6 points off 4th.
Yes.
So if we get to February, which I think is when the last 60, because I think they'll go into the last 16, not the last 32, if they drop down from the Champions League. That's right, isn't it?
Last 32.
Oh, they go into the last. I thought someone skips the last 32 if they go down from the Champions League.
I think top of the groups. Top of the groups in Europa League.
Oh, okay, cool.
If you're top of the group in Europa League, I think.
Okay. So let's say they get an easy game in the last 32, right, and they get through that, and then they're in the last 16. If they find, and this is in February, if they're 10 points behind 4th, right, which could happen, who knows? Then you've got to then have a realistic conversation. You're talking about top 4 is the most important thing. So then you have to have a look, which is the most likely route of getting into the top 4. Is it Champions League? Is it going for the top 4, which we're currently 10 points off? Right? Or is it going for the Europa League? Well, remember the Europa League, there's still some decent teams in there. Yes. So you might look at it and come to the conclusion that actually it's probably the Premier League route. But if you're telling me that the Newcastle have to focus on getting the Champions League, you can't then say they should sack off the Europa League because that is a route of getting in.
I agree with you. If you're 10 points, the context is key here, which you put a brilliant.
Of course.
You said 10 points. You're in February. You got to focus on Europa League at that point.
Yeah. You can't say right now because
Liverpool last year they were 10 points or 12 points and they didn't make it at the end. No matter how bad the other teams are ahead of you, you really might not make it. You might not make it. And
Joe, this year is going to be really tough for the Champions League spots because we're now seeing Chelsea turn a corner. Newcastle are up there. Villa's home form and the way they're playing, they're up there. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs. It's going to be really exciting for me as a neutral with no dog in the fight. This season,
I want a title race up. Forget the top 4 shit. I want a title race for.
But
but it's the same. I think we're going to get it all. And for me, and for I guess for you as well. It's nice, man. It's back.
Well, we want to see someone else win the league though than City, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
Let me ask Joe a question. Can I ask Joe a question? We were talking about Newcastle, right? So when Leeds were in the Champions League, I'm just looking at Leeds. Haven't won an FA Cup since 72, and not won a Carabao Cup since 68. So would you have traded the Champions League runs that you was on? What was that famous thing that he said? We dreamt or whatever. We dreamt.
Yeah, exactly. We lived the dream. He said we lived the dream. Right?
Was it sensible? Probably not.
No.
Would you have traded that for an FA Cup? Because that'll answer the question. At Wembley, would you have traded that
in my lifetime? Yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Another person who would have traded it. So this is what I'm
saying.
To
go to Wembley, I mean, because Here's a case in point. You brought up more Wigan, yeah? Do you think Wigan are bothered that they got relegated when they look back? They're not. They will dine at. I think they're in League One now. They beat Man City 1-0 in the FA Cup final, and the fans that were there, they're not bothered that they're not in the Premier League.
Yeah, the fans that go to the game, but Wigan might get
Ben Watson or whatever it was, the ginger centre back bang. That moment for them will just. They'll never forget that, young and old.
I think it's the difference. You guys live in England and you go to the games, and I don't. This is one of the things that is different between us. But one of the things is that the point for me is that
I guess the powers that be would have
now
rather
Spurs need to focus on a trophy. Why? Spurs got a seat at the table. Does that make sense? Everybody around the world talk about Spurs. We include Spurs in everything. It's called top 6, right? Because Spurs, even though Spurs, with all due respect to Spurs, when they were at the top, they didn't win any trophy, but they made it to the top 6, right? My point is Newcastle at the moment need to make it to that table regularly. And then we'll talk about the trophies. If you have to choose one. You
spoke on Spurs as well. Now, Spurs will have good memories of their Champions League final.
Yes.
But would they rather have an FA Cup so everyone would stop going, mate, you only won an Audi Cup? Because they can't really dine out. Like for us, Leeds United in the Championship, we can still maybe dine out on it a little to say, yeah, but we got to the semi-final of a Champions League. You know what I mean? During that time. Whereas, like you say, Spurs are regularly up there. So for them to get to a final, it's nothing they can dine out on. However, if they wouldn't have got to that final and won the FA Cup that year, no one could be saying to Spurs, well, you won't win this trophy. They said, well, we won an FA Cup.
Yeah, because they get there regularly. I agree with you. But Newcastle, it's the first year. It's the first rodeo in the Champions League. Listen, Manchester City, for example, semi-finals, finals of the Champions League. Every year we talk about the Champions League, their favorites. Well, participating and going to the final isn't good enough. You have to win it. You have to taste it. You have to lift the trophy. And they did it at the end. But you got to be there all the time. Listen, the last part is because I don't want to, I want to talk a little bit about who is closer to get top 4. Because I have you two here, it's actually something. Aston Villa, why nobody gives them a chance of making? People say, yeah, it's going to be Spurs. You, Joe, mentioned Chelsea. People mentioned Manchester United. People mentioned Newcastle. Aston Villa,
cool it on the Man
nobody
United
talks about them. Nobody talks about. People say Man United will turn the corner. I promise you. I was listening to The Guardian, the podcast.
Go.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I think Lars Everton said Manchester United might put a nano run and get there. So people still think that Manchester United can make it, which is, by the way, they can. I'm not saying they cannot completely. Go ahead.
So are we, first of all, when we're having this conversation, are we talking about the top 5?
No. Actually, apparently someone corrected everybody yesterday on a stream. I was watching, I don't know which stream, and said that top 5, because Newcastle now and Manchester United aren't doing great, it's dependent on this season.
It's coefficient.
And the coefficient now, England are 3rd or 4th in this year's coefficient. It's only the first 2 of this year that will go to the next year.
Basically, what you're saying is
it's on City
to win the trophy again, yeah? It's on City to win the trophy to say that.
It's on you.
Right, okay. Well, we'll do that. We'll try and help
I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll try and help Spurs out. We'll try and help Villa out and that, you know what I mean? We'll try and sort them out a place. But listen, on Villa, yeah, Mo, if I was a Villa fan, I wouldn't be complaining. I don't want teams to talk. I don't want people to speak on me. I don't want people to speak about my club. I'm starting to see, is Emery the best, is the 3rd best manager in England? I'd be muting that shit. I wouldn't be liking it. I wouldn't be retweeting it. I'd want to just fucking, because what happens? What stops teams, that shouldn't really achieve what they should achieve, achieving that? It's pressure. That's why Arsenal didn't win the league last year. It's because they weren't really supposed to be there. And then when the pressure was on, they didn't have the minerals to see it out. So if I was Aston Villa fan, I'd just be buzzing with what's going on because they are playing some great stuff. They've got some fantastic players. They do have the 3rd best manager in the league, in my opinion. They've got a guy who's got a lot of money, putting the money in the transfers. You know, great club, great fan base, great stadium. But I'd just be fucking chilling, you know what I mean? They're doing a great job, just going under the radar, sticking in there. They're currently behind Tottenham. That's a massive game coming up, by the way, at the weekend. Next weekend, Spurs Villa. But absolutely they can get in the top 4. Absolutely they could get in there. Or maybe the 5th spot if that is a thing. So, I think Spurs are currently in a very, very dangerous position because everyone's speaking on Spurs about Spurs this, Spurs that, Ange this, Ange that, great football this, great football that. If you look at the team, if you take a step back and look at a slightly longer term, right? Manchester City are not going anywhere unless we get relegated, right? Because of the FFP thing. Liverpool are not going anywhere. Arsenal are not going anywhere.
What? Is that on the table? You get relegated? Is that on the table?
Oh, that's what they say. Who knows? Just
If
bear with
Everton
me.
got 12 points, basically
Yeah.
City would be getting...
Bear with me on this one there. Bear with me on this. So City not going anywhere. Liverpool are not going anywhere. Arsenal aren't. Villa are only going to get better because they've got money. United, as shit as they are, will always be up there. So I'm going to put them up there. Newcastle are owned by Saudis. That's 6 teams that are
Leeds
all
are getting promoted next year, LB. Don't forget that one.
and Chelsea as well. And Chelsea are not going to go anywhere. So Spurs right now are looking all right. They could easily find themselves in a year or two's time being what, the 7th or 8th best team in the country.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm saying
they
they need to invest heavily into that squad this January and the summer. If they don't, they'll fall behind the pack. And in a year's or two's time, we'll all be looking back and thinking, bloody hell, that was a bit of a decline.
That's one of the things I said to Spurs fans when I told them that when you were at the top or near the top, you didn't make history. Nobody's going to remember that Spurs made Champions League. Nobody's going to remember that Spurs challenged Leicester for the league. Nobody's going to remember that. When Chelsea went to the top or went close to the top, they won. They won the league. They won Champions League. Manchester City, look at them now, making history now. Liverpool, even when they win 3 Champions League finals, winning the league title after 30 years, winning the Champions League, that's making recent history. Spurs, if they don't win and they don't make top 4, I think they'll be forgotten about. I actually think people will forget about Spurs within 5-6 years because nobody's going to remember that you made top 4 regularly. Who cares? I remember back in the days when it used to be Everton Cup. Remember the 6th place, Everton Cup. Who cares about if Everton get... People forgot that Everton used to get 6 every year. Used to call the Everton Cup. You know what I'm talking about, Joe? They call that the Everton Cup, the 6th place. Nobody remembers Everton now in the top. Nobody remembers that team.
Do you know? Yeah, no, I hear you. Just to wade in on the Villa stuff, is it? People in the chat forget, like Villa are a huge club.
There you go, Villa, Aston Villa hype. Okay, Villa like it for some reason. I don't
Villa
know
are a huge club. Villa have won European Cups. Yeah, they're a huge club, right? If they get this right, the world's the oyster kind of vibe. Okay, they haven't got your Newcastle kind of money, but they're a huge club, massive fan base, right? The issue Villa have is going through that middle ground between being decent in the Premier League and entertaining the Europe conversation, because what will happen is your Arsenals are looking at Douglas Luiz. John McGinn, who has been linked to Man United in the past, is having the best season or seasons of his life. It won't be long before clubs come sniffing for him. Ollie Watkins is doing bits now that he's not, I guess, running all over the shop. He's been, Emery said to him, you stay in that central space. He did an interview before saying, before I would chase lost causes. Now I tell you, I'm staying in this central space, find me. He's scoring goals. So it's when clubs come a knocking, whether or not Villa have the them power to say no. They're not going anywhere. Because I think Louise will be, subject to bids. Then McGinn could be a conversation as well. I really rate John McGinn. So
I like John McGinn. People just don't like him because aesthetically he's kind of like...
Yeah, because it's John McGinn, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
because his name is John McGinn.
Yeah, exactly. You've got even like the likes of Conza and stuff. But then again, I mean, they did some great business. Who'd have thought? I mean, Pau Torres was linked to Man United not too long ago, and now he's rocking up at Villa.
Diaby.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So, but again, it's like, could another club take Diaby from Villa? Maybe.
So Joe, how do Villa take that next step then to stop?
They have to keep. They have to keep hold of these big players. They have to keep hold of these big players. If Arsenal come in January and say we're taking Luiz, they say no, you're not. He's not going anywhere, and there's a new contract for the lad.
But it's up to Luiz. It's up to him. What if he wants to challenge for the league? What's Aston Villa offering him, Joe?
Well, this is the point, isn't it? That's the flux that I'm talking about of saying, right, we can compete here. We're now in the Conference League. How do we then take that next bit, which means we're continuous? They've got the manager for it. They've got the manager for it now. They just have to keep players and then keep spending well, because ultimately, if you're continuously letting your players go, there just come a time when it doesn't work anymore, that you can't find the next big thing. You can't find, recruitment is amazing, but eventually, I don't know.
Joe,
you
are you quite surprised to hear that in the last 2 seasons, Aston Villa have only spent 160 million euros total?
I mean, yeah,
that's
that
quite low.
Yeah,
that's quite low, man. I thought they would have been,
especially when they sold Grealish for what they did.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, they've only spent 180 million euros across 2 seasons, according to Transfermarkt data. That is a lot lower than I would have thought. I thought they would have been a lot higher. So that's something else they're going to have to do. They're going to start spending big, because to keep hold of some of these players, you know, if you say Douglas Luiz, right, so he's got an offer from Arsenal. It's all good saying you're not going, mate, here's a new contract, but the only real way you can do that is by offering him an obscene amount of money, being a dick and just saying you're not going, or saying, listen, this is a project. We got £200 million here ready to go in the summer. We signed this guy, and we're making a run for that top 4 next season. And then he might go, oh, you know what? I'll give you a year. So I'll sign a new contract with a release clause. A bit like Bruno's done at Newcastle. Because that's basically what he's done, innit? Bruno at Newcastle. He's basically said, right, I'm going to sign a new contract. I believe in the project, but I want to get out in case if this doesn't materialise. And then in 2 years' time or whatever, if it's not working, he can get off for £100 million. That's how you got to do it. I think Newcastle have done the right thing there.
If Aston Villa,
I'll tell you what, I've got a question for you, Mo.
Can I get this question, because it's a fun question?
Sorry, go on.
It's just a fun question, right? Guys, over 300 people here. Can we get the likes up a little bit to 150, 200 likes, please? Please. If Aston Villa do a 2016 Leicester City, who gets sacked from top 6 teams? It's just a fun question. Does anybody want to answer that?
What does that mean? Who gets sacked? Like, what manager gets sacked?
Yes, what manager gets sacked?
Would you be a big boss, Ten Hag?
It's all the right answer is always Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag, whatever you want to say. That's the right answer. You know what I mean?
You can't go wrong, innit?
I think if Leicester, if Aston Villa win the league, the reality is it has to be Mikel Arteta, without a question. If Aston Villa win the league this year, Man City and Liverpool, they're fine. Who cares? I think it's Mikel Arteta. He has to get sacked. He has to get sacked.
I think him and Edo were too much like this, man. They have a really good relationship. So they'd have to sack them both. They'd have to sack them as a pair, I think. That's where I see their relationship's very tight. It doesn't seem to be, I'm the sporting director, I picture you as an employee. It seems like they're one and the same. So I think the owners, the Cronkies, would have to sack them both, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not sure.
Question for you, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uncomfortable conversation time. We need to have a chat about De Zerbi. Is the guy a myth?
Oh, yeah,
can't defend.
They
can't defend.
I predicted this at the start of the season.
People
we did a show, LB, and actually Joe, LB told me this.
Yeah, he's going to get City job, etc., which makes you think, I mean, he did go a bit like this, so why did he leave them other clubs? Like why is he great, but at the end of the day now, they can't defend? I don't think, when was the last time they had a bloody clean sheet? If you consider how well they have defended in the past with the likes of Dunk and stuff, so they're far too open. They haven't done as well in Europe as we'd have thought, and their league form's suffering. So,
do you know the last time they lost is against Manchester City, right?
Okay, so what are the results though? 1-1 against Sheffield United?
They're all draws against Everton, against Fulham, against Sheffield United.
That's not good enough, is it?
Hear me out about De Zerbi, right?
Go on.
If you give De Zerbi Manchester City squad and team, he will do wonders with them. He might not.
Based on what evidence?
I'll tell you why. De Zerbi likes to play brand of football and a way of playing football. The problem is the caliber of players he has. They don't match up. What I mean is that when I was watching them against Aston Villa, they were trying to play that brand of football of passing the ball through the middle. Everybody touches the ball, right? But it goes to Veltman. Billy Gilmore gets pressed by Jacob Ramsey and Douglas Luiz, right? And it's over for them. The thing about it, he wants to play a brand of football. He's an idiot in terms of like he doesn't understand the limitations of the players he has. At the end, he has that Van Hinkel or whatever. What's his name? Van Hickey at the back, and he wants to play from the back. This is what I'm basing it on, LB. Basing it on.
Nah, but bro, Mo, you just said then the guy's an idiot because he don't understand the limitations. But then at the same time, you expect him to go City and work wonders. Like I don't
because that system will work with better players.
Yeah, but I don't care. I don't think there's any suggestion. I don't think there's any evidence that you can say that he's going to work wonders at Manchester City. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that at all.
Because he made these players better.
But that's like the Bielsa argument as well. And I agree with you. I think Bielsa could do a job at City, but there's a reason why they haven't.
My reason is simple. He plays a very good brand of football. He develops player really well. The problem is, at some point, he will have to understand that not every player is Kevin De Bruyne, not every player is Bernardo Silva, not every player is Rodri. He needs to understand that Gilmore isn't Rodri.
But
You
that's
cannot
where
play the
the
same
better
thing.
managers. That's where the better managers, though, Mo, go, okay, I can't do this. Let me do a different style. So he's just basically going
But he
out
doesn't
every
have pressure,
game.
LB. He doesn't have pressure. The problem is they like it.
Well,
You
then,
get what? If someone from the board tell him stop, we cannot do that. We need results. I think he's gonna stop. I think actually he's gonna
should he
quit.
not be doing that anyway? Should his job is to get the best results? Is he? It's just,
I don't think so. I now believe that Brighton. The reason why I'm saying that, based on my understand evidence as well. I'm not just saying statements. Some games he plays players that are unknown and leaves the names that we know on the bench, just to
Yeah, he
try to
changes
prove
it
that
too
this player,
much, though, Mo.
that,
He
just to
changes
try
it too
exactly.
much.
Why do you think do you think a manager would not play his best player and just try a youth team player out of nowhere? No, I believe it's a marketing thing. They want to get the next Caicedo. The board is telling him to do that. Play that brand of football. Maybe get a player or two up in that first team. Show the world that this player can do that. We can sell him for 100 million. Because there is no manager in the right frame of mind will put somebody that was rested for a week. I've seen Brighton not play for a week, and the next game he benches Gilmore and play a youth team player.
Yeah,
Benches.
Ferguson wasn't even in the squad. Ferguson, he plays João Pedro, he
Not
scores, he then doesn't play him. It's just
Yes,
loads of
exactly.
different.
He is trying to build. He is trying to prove that we have the players, the system works. So like other teams like Chelsea come and buy the players. You know what I mean? I think that's what they're trying to do, because I don't believe he is in the right frame of mind to actually play different players every game. Why you're playing different players every game if your players are fit? Because you're bringing them on in the minute 60 and they're playing 30 minutes. So they're
Mitoma,
not
for
injured.
example, yeah.
They're not injured. You know that they're fit. You just brought them on, but you opt to choose somebody. That's what
Mo,
I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question then about him. So you're saying, that he could work wonders at City. So you obviously rate him highly. So if he obviously thinks he's doing a good job, so
Yes.
would he not then leave Brighton if he's being told to play young players and therefore jeopardising results, which could jeopardise him getting a big move to a City after Pep Guardiola, who could be gone in a year or two's time? Why is he still there? Should he not say, no, I'm not having this. I play the way I want. I need to get results. I need to basically, because you're effectively saying he's there to sort of market himself to get a bigger move. Yes. But yet he's almost hindering himself by doing the Brighton marketing or whatever you say. So why is he still there? Why does he not leave?
Because I think he still believes that they can get fifth or sixth or something. I still believe he believes that they can get fifth or sixth and get to Europe, and that would be their goal. Isn't getting top four. Brighton don't spend as much as Aston. I think Aston Villa with Emery and the spending they did, their aim is top four or as close as to top four. Brighton are I think Brighton are content with sixth or seventh or fifth as long as they are in Europe, and I still think that they can do it, in my opinion. But I get your. By the way, you have very valid points. Very valid point. That's the argument, though. That's the argument. I still believe. I don't know why he wouldn't leave. Has he got offered a bigger job? Nobody offered him a bigger job.
I just think Brighton is a. I think Brighton is a club that if you're a young manager, I actually think maybe it's a short-term move because you're going to go there. You're going to have some mint players because they're bringing mint players, but then they're going to sell them all, and then the next year you're expected to rebuild.
It's a pressure in it. It's a pressure.
You're expected to get the next Caicedo.
You know, if you get the rebuild wrong, you're the guy that messed up Brighton.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not sure. I just think that if this guy is offered better caliber of players, he will be great. This is my opinion. I can be proven wrong, and I have no factual evidence of that. He can go.
I don't disagree with that, Mo. The way you said it that time, I think he could be great, but it's because before you said.
I believe. When I say I believe, I think, you know.
I know what you mean.
From my understanding of watching the football he plays, I think that if he goes to Manchester City with better caliber of players, he will do really good, right? That's what I think. And I mentioned City because Manchester City, the Pep Guardiola, 2 years, blah, 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 which is now I keep thinking about it. I don't think Pep Guardiola is leaving, and we are in for a long time of domination that they're going to dominate everything. Anyway, listen, people, it has been a great show with LB. Apologies for Hussam, who might not even do his show or can. I don't know.
You got an upgraded version anyway, Don Joe. Don't worry about it.
Joe is superior to Hussam, of course. You guys know that for sure. He's downgraded now. It's not this is football, this is a bottle. This is Sam's new channel. Yeah, but thank you everybody that joined us. LB, absolute pleasure having you here. Absolute fantastic. Joe, welcome back. Thank you for
Thanks,
being
bro.
here. Guys,
Always.
LB, there's 300 people watching. LB, his channel is in the description. It's called It's LB. I want him to text me after this and say I got 100 subscribers and my likes went up 100 times in the last 10 videos. I want everybody click on that link in the description. It's just a link. It will take you there. 100 subscribers or 200 subscribers. Like his last video or his last 10. It helps his channel massively because he's helping me out here. We'll see you guys. I'm not doing a show tonight. I just want to take a break a little bit before tomorrow. Thank you, Joe. LB, appreciate you, Lewis. And guys, stay in this one. It will take you to Hussam, and we're out of here. Thank you, people.